Hi again, everybody. Welcome into an all-new edition of No Holden Back alongside my son, Luke Holden, Ben Holden with you. And we're thrilled to be joined by one of the great men in the sport of lacrosse, Kevin Cassese, the head coach at Lehigh. Kevin, good afternoon. How are you today here on the last day of July?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you guys. I'll tell you that much.
Well, good. It's always a pleasure talking with you. And I've missed you the last couple of years and doing your games. And every time we've done a game with CBS, it's always been awesome experience with you and your team. So my son and I obviously have been doing this podcast. We've done almost 60 of these. We appreciate your time. We know you're dealing with a lot of stuff. What is the latest and greatest in terms of what you can tell us, what's going on with you and your program at Lehigh?
Well, a lot more questions than answers right now. We're still trying to figure out and sort through it. It was just announced today that, we're going to be able to at least have freshmen back on campus. So that's nice. What capacity that looks like, we're still trying to figure that out, but it seems like the decision, by the campus leadership was to kind of de-densify the population and bring them back just in a small group. And the way it works at Lehigh is we have our upperclassmen, mainly juniors and seniors, are already living off campus. And then freshmen and sophomores are on campus. So it sounds like they're going to open up to the freshmen. And then the sophomores are the ones that are the biggest question marks. I don't know what they're going to do at this point. But just got that news about half hour ago. So, a lot of questions are there. And as it relates to sports and, the Patriot League already stepped in and said that they canceled all fall sports as far as competitions are concerned. They did say that we would be permitted to practice and train and lift and do all of that, but that's going to be an institutional decision for each of the Patriot League schools. So we're still trying to figure out what that looks like for us. We're hopeful that we'll get some access to our guys and at least allow them to be able to train, but still a lot more questions than we have answers in that department right now.
Yeah, well, you guys started most programs were able to play a few games in February, as we know the season gets going second, third week of February. So take us back to when you found out and you had to tell your team and pull them together and say, look, guys, here's what's going on, man.
Yeah, it was strange. The entire situation was very strange. And the only thing I can really, kind of compare it to was the situation that I lived through as an assistant coach down at Duke. When they canceled our season on us, in the midst of the Duke lacrosse allegations and all that. So that was incredibly strange to be sitting there. That was a little bit of different circumstance, obviously, but it felt pretty similar to me. Just situations that are, as a coach, just completely out of your control. And then administrators stepping in and saying, hey, this is how it's going to be. Obviously, in this situation, everybody was in the same boat, so, all college lacrosse teams, all sports teams in general, but we were sitting there getting ready to go play at Army, a huge game for us. We were off to a good start, as was Army. For us, we were 5-1, we were 2-0 in the Patriot League. And, definitely a bummer because we felt like we had a really strong team this year and one that could really compete for a league championship and maybe even an NCAA championship. And, to have that cut short was definitely a bummer for everybody involved. But, when you sit back and look how the next few months unfolded, you realize that there were probably a bunch of great decisions that were made, in the best interest of the young men that we were coaching, young men and women, and student athletes across the world that, obviously there's more at play here. So I think once that sunk in for everybody, we were able to just, come to peace with the decisions that were made and realize that, wasn't in our control at all. But at that time, we were sitting there getting ready to go play Army, and it was a really bizarre set of circumstances because I think the Ivy League maybe on a Wednesday came out and said that they were going to cancel all spring sports, and basically all sports at that point were done. And then the Patriot League came out the next day on Thursday and said the same thing, but they said it wasn't going to be active until the following Monday. So as I was sitting there talking to my AD, he said, well, listen, you guys get to play one more game. You can go up and you can play at Army. It'll be the seniors' last game. You guys can go and finish off that way if Joe Alberici at Army feels the same way. And, so I called Joe, who's a longtime friend, and we said, this is weird, but, if they're giving us an opportunity to play, let's play it. And, there we were sitting there. I think, eventually we ended up canceling the game, and it wasn't up to us. It was up to the administrators at both schools. But I look at that, and Joe and I talk about it all the time, or recently we talked about it, said we might have been the only sporting event in the world to take place on that Saturday, the Lehigh Army lacrosse game, because everything else got canceled. The NBA got canceled. NHL was done. I mean, everything got canceled. And I think we would have been the only game in town. So that would have been cool, but definitely a little bit weird. So anyway, that game got canceled, and then that was it. And, our players were gone, and, 24 to 48 hours from that moment when it got announced, they were back home and campus was cleared. And man, was it a bizarre end to a shortened season for us.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I mean, it's to hear you say it and talk about it. It really resonates. And, I feel bad for all those seniors, and even college freshmen like this kid here and I know for you, you've got 3 kids, you got a midfield line, you got 2 daughters and your young son that's a pretty good player from what I remember,
That's right.
making his way up. Blessings in disguise. One last for me, and then I'll turn it over to my son, who's now sitting here interviewing Division I coaches. So kind of cool for him, man. So what's that been like for you at home? And I'm sure you feel that way. In that way, it is a silver lining, a blessing in disguise to get the time that so many of us that work in the sports world don't normally get, Kevin.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that's been a silver lining in this is, typically, and I go from, in season mode where, I'm not around very often, lots of travel with games and, late nights practicing and preparing. And I roll that straight into the recruiting season where I'm, gone probably 4 to 5 days out of the week, traveling. So, I basically just went fully immersed into, home life and, been with them 24/7. It's been great. It's been great to spend time with them. My wife might tell you otherwise. What the heck are you doing here? You're in the way.
Get out of the way, coach.
I know, but actually with, we've been hit pretty hard with everything, not just me personally, but the lacrosse coaching world, just because everybody for the most part, lost, significant opportunities to make, additional revenue through camps and clinics and tournaments. Yeah. And all those were wiped away. And, if you decide to be a college coach, you don't do it for the money and your salary. So you have to kind of piece it together with opportunities like that. So for me personally, it's been an opportunity. My wife has definitely taken on much more work as a realtor. She's really immersed herself into that. And, I have this time of year, we've kind of done a role reversal. She's working a ton. And I'm working real hard with the kids at home and taking care of the home front. So I get a really good look into what her life is like when I'm in season. And it's fun, but it's also challenging. There's no doubt. In parenting, coaching, it's pretty synonymous. You got to work really hard at it to be good. So definitely doing that, but getting to spend that time with them and be a part of their lives 24/7 has been a blessing for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, here comes the heat, man. He's going to throw some fastballs at you.
Let's go. Bring it, Luke.
Yeah. So, I think, the biggest thing I want to get into with you, at least, for what's going on right now, what's the summer kind of been like for you and your program and your players? And what was really the final message and send off to your seniors from last year, with such a unique situation and an unfortunate situation, of course, what was your message to them and how has things gone for you during the summer?
Yeah. So I didn't really get to have a message that was, I guess that did it justice for those guys just because of how abrupt the end was. And, for us, what the focus was, at least for me personally, the focus was on safety, just trying to get the kids off campus safely, making sure that they weren't, making any poor decisions because at that time back in March, we didn't really have a lot of information about what this COVID-19 thing was. And we just knew that, it was something that you didn't want to get. And that was all we knew. So a lot of it just had to do, my attention turned to that. And I was able to help the guys with that. just because of the knowledge that I was getting from my brother, who's in the healthcare world. He's actually a internal medicine doc. He has a history in experience in infectious disease, and he's working in the Bronx in New York, which was a hot spot, and was for several weeks. So he kind of saw this thing coming and was able to warn us about what might happen. And he was right every step of the way. So I was able to use that information I got from him and help our guys. And so really the message became more about that than it did about anything else. And I didn't really get to give a proper senior send-off to our guys until we did one virtually with our multimedia department here at Lehigh. We put something together, and I was able to honor each of those seniors and, to make it an even further unique situation. We have 4 of them that are actually going to return for us this year. So, with the NCAA granting the year of eligibility, we have a graduate school at Lehigh that's has some pretty desirable courses and areas of study. So our guys, 4 of them, 4 of the 11 decided to stay on with us. So it was just kind of a strange trip going through honoring that, working with those guys, still honoring them because we didn't know at that point if they were going to be able to come back, if they get accepted to programs, all that stuff. It was just a really crazy couple months there. And, obviously at the forefront of all that was just making sure that the guys were staying safe. And, we had a few of our players right as they left campus that tested positive and then subsequently went through their families, which was really scary. Thankfully everybody recovered fully. But that was a scary, few weeks where that was happening. And so anyway, that's kind of what the first part of the summer was all about. And then what we did was we kind of discovered this thing that we're on here called Zoom. And,
we all have.
Everybody's figured it out, and we realized that we could use this to our advantage to stay connected with our players. And so we set up weekly Zoom calls, and I honestly started a segment I called Lunch with Alums, where we brought in alumni and had an alum from different areas and different career paths, different eras step in and lead a Zoom call to talk about their career path and help the guys learn about their perspective and how they went about finding jobs and their Lehigh experience, and that was pretty cool. So we did that for a while, and then we took a break from that, and now we've just been kind of playing the waiting game, trying to see what the next steps were. All the while, allowing our guys to train, summer take-home programs and lifting and speed work and trying to get out on their own and do some lacrosse work. That's been really the main focus right now, kind of like any other summer. So I guess aside from some of the things we've done through Zoom, try and keep it as close to normal, as normal of a summer as we possibly could, because I think everybody's looking for a little bit of normalcy right now.
Definitely. So we just heard the news about you guys having freshmen on campus during the fall. You got 4 seniors coming back. If you're able to, what are some of your expectations and the things you're looking forward to, potentially the rest of the year with your program and hopefully going into the spring this year if we're able to play?
Yeah. And I think what you said there in the last comment is probably my number one goal, is being able to play an actual game again. That's a significant concern of mine, is that, as we move into the fall and into the winter, what is this going to look like? And, for the people who are making decisions on whether or not we're able to play in the spring, what's that decision going to look like? And so I'm hopeful that we're able to do that, and would be grateful for that opportunity, because I think if we get that chance, we're going to have a really good team.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, we had one this year, and, we lost a few key pieces, but, we have, 4 of our starters that were seniors coming back, and, we had 6 seniors total that were starters. So 4, 2/3 of those guys are coming back. And then, we have a really talented junior class as well that will be seniors now, and a talented sophomore class that'll be juniors, and a new crop of freshmen. So I feel good about where we are, but we just really are looking for that opportunity to play games. I think everybody's in the same boat when it comes to that.
Yeah. I want to circle back a little bit, Kevin. So the waiver, is that a case by case basis across the sport in lacrosse, or how are they doing that exactly with those seniors like you're talking about on your squad?
Yeah, it's a blanket waiver for all spring sport athletes. So it's not just lacrosse. It's baseball, it's softball, it's women's lacrosse. Every spring sport athlete was granted an extra year, and it's not just seniors; it's everybody that was on a roster. So you're talking the next 4 years of impact of potentially seniors staying for that extra year. So I think it was the right decision by the NCAA, but man, has it created a lot of stress and a lot of discomfort for especially for high school kids, honestly. There's a lot fewer much fewer opportunity now to grab some of those spots because they're being reserved for seniors that might be coming back. And, especially with some of the teams that might have roster caps. Fortunately, we're not one of those, at least not at this moment. But teams that do have roster caps, they have some tough decisions to make. It's going to be, all right, do I bring back a senior or do I recruit another, high school kid? Those are tough choices. And I think what you'll probably find, most people would try and bring their senior back because it's someone that's been in the program for 4 years and, you're loyal to those guys and, a little bit more, battle tested than a high school kid coming into your program for the first time.
Right.
Definitely.
So I'm sure one of the things you would be doing this anyway, man. You're a coach, you played, and you live and breathe the game. Is why I know my son wants to get into some of this. So I'll kind of start the ball rolling. Is watching the PLL. We had the MLL last week. You got a bunch of guys playing, man, and guys I remember personally. So just your thoughts on seeing what you're seeing with the PLL and what they've done, and personally, I feel that sports have to be in a bubble now, Kevin. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm sure you'll share. They've got the bubble going. It seems to be working fine. What have your thoughts been on what they're doing at the pro level?
Yeah, so I think what the PLL has done, the product they put together in just 2 years, not even 2 years, is really special. The talent level is through the roof. I love the game. Just the rules of the game, the shortened field, I think some of the tweaks of the rules that they have really speeds up the game. And, I think that's to our benefit. And I think people who are just tuning in for the first time, it's a pretty cool product. So I like that aspect of it. To speak to the bubble, I think you're 100% correct. I think, but I also don't think that, the bubble alone isn't going to save you, and you saw that with the MLL, you can call it a bubble. You can put people on one location, but if you don't follow the rules and, you have kids that are making poor choices, then, or maybe it's not even a poor choice. It's just a dumb luck thing that, your bubble gets infiltrated and all of a sudden it's creating problems like the MLL saw this year. So I think it's the bubble is 100% the way that you have to go. And it seems like the PLL has been managing that well. They have another week here to go, so hopefully they can keep it going. And I think, what the NBA is trying to do, NHL is trying to do, I think that's smart. I think, that the Major League Baseball model, probably not so much. They're already seeing what's going on there. And I think that, unfortunately, college sports are going to have the same issue. We can't pick up universities and move them into a bubble. So I'm not so sure how that's going to work. And that's, part of the, just the fear that we all have is that if we can't create this bubble-like atmosphere, how do we get this thing done? And how is it going to look? So, but as far as the PLL is concerned, it's been great. It's been nice to have lacrosse to watch. I mean, between the MLL and the PLL, we get 3.5 weeks of, multiple games per day. And my son's been getting after it. He's been watching a ton of them, basically every single game. It's fun for him and for me to sit down and watch some of our former players play. Andrew Pettit and Eddie Buhall, two young guys, just played for me the last couple of years, and they had a lot of success in the MLL. And then Craig Chick is running around for Atlas LC. And then my new assistant coach, John Crawley, is playing for Atlas as well. And it's been fun to watch those guys get after it. So, huge fan. Love the PLL, love what they're doing. And hopefully we get a little bit more of it here in the next week.
Yeah, I'm going to let Luke, I just got a quick comment, and I'm going to go back to who I'm going to reference here in a minute with you, see how good your memory is. I think Chick should have been on Chaos, man. It would have been perfect for him to be on Chaos, man. Just perfect. Anyway,
No
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, we were hoping for that too. Unfortunately, we didn't get to have any pull with that just because it was part of the entry draft. But if it was a year ago when they were assigning players to the different teams, the PLL was doing that, that would have been a no-brainer, without a doubt.
For sure. For sure. Go ahead, dude.
So John Crawley, obviously, he was a new addition to your coaching staff a couple of years ago. He's had pretty good season so far in the PLL. I believe he's got 2 goals and an assist. What is it kind of like, for your program, having a pro lacrosse player, and even your experience being at the professional level? What kind of dynamic does that build for your players and teaching and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. To have him, first of all, if he wasn't playing and it was just coaching, that would be good enough for me. He's a phenomenal coach. He's a rising star in the profession. Offensively, just really gifted. The thing that probably stands out above everything else, though, as gifted as he is, an offensive coordinator, is his ability to relate to kids. His relationship with the guys is phenomenal, and we kind of pair that with my defensive coordinator, Will Scudder, and they really get along with the guys. There's definitely a player-coach relationship, so there's a line there, but the guys know that they have their backs, and John is fantastic with that. I think the fact that he's playing professionally, there's certainly a credibility level there when guys can watch you play on TV and you can kind of watch the things that he's teaching you in action, and he's doing it, not just saying it. I think that's really important. I also think that just from my experience playing professionally and then also coaching, I think it elevates both sides. So playing makes you a better coach, and coaching makes you a better player. And I'm seeing that with John as well. You can just kind of see it. You're around the best players in the game. You're going to pick up different things that they do. You're going to incorporate that into what you teach and what you coach. I think the things that you see as a coach definitely makes you a better player. You're always a step ahead, and you can see that with John when he's on the field. He's directing traffic. He's telling guys where to go. He's doing a lot of what I call the glue work for his team. And, he'd be, fine not scoring any points at all, but just if his team would score more goals and win more games, he'd be very happy. And, that to me is the mind of a coach.
Definitely, for sure. And you kind of touched on a few of the guys that you had been able to coach, in the past few years at Lehigh. Craig Chick with Atlas, Andrew Pettit with the New York Lizards in the MLL, and Eddie Buhal with the Philadelphia Barrage in the MLL. What is that like for you as a coach, getting to see, your players who you got to coach go on to the pro level and do pretty spectacular things?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I love it. And, we've had a bunch of guys that have gone on to play at the pro level. They've been involved in international level as well. And definitely a strong sense of pride that, we have that caliber of player coming out of our program. And that's, something that we can definitely hang our hat on. But for me on a personal level, watching these guys have success, because kind of the battles that they fought. I look at a guy like Andrew Pettit and even Eddie Buhal. Those guys both missed significant times with major knee injuries, and you watch the struggles and the trials and tribulations, and then to see them have success at the highest level in our sport is really rewarding, and just makes me feel great for them and for their families that it was time well spent when they were at Lehigh.
Definitely.
So I told you I'd circle back to Craig Chick. So you made me one. I forget. I think it was maybe when you guys played Cornell. I think I did a couple of those games in a row, which those games were unbelievable, by the way. And so I said to him, and you may not have, but I'm sure you know this, but I'll just tell the story. So I said, where does that instinct come from for you to just create chaos like we talked about, to be tenacious on the ball, to just be a pest to play against? And he said, well, I'm a big Bill Lambert fan. You know this?
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute, time out, man. Like, I'm almost 50. I don't know how old you are, but you obviously watched him play. I'm like, how the hell did you watch Bill Lambert? He says, my dad was a fan, so I watched him. I thought that was pretty cool. I love that old school mentality, man. And you've coached a ton of guys, Kevin, wherever you've been, whether it was at Duke, at Lehigh, and the 13 you've been there. This guy is a special dude, man. Did you have any idea he'd be the player he became when you first brought him in?
No, not even close.
Yeah.
So there's, parts of recruiting that you would call, an exact science, the ones that are very easy to see. All right, this kid is incredible. He's really talented, super athletic. And then he becomes, an All-American. That was not the case with Craig, and that's no offense to him.
Right.
But Craig's somebody that we picked up late in the process. He was our last recruit in the class. It was really late. I mean, it was the summer before, his senior year. At the end of the summer, the recruiting cycle was nearly done. And at that time, that's when freshmen and sophomores were committing to colleges. So I never forget, my assistant at the time was Brendan Callahan, who was my defensive coordinator. He's now the head coach up at Dartmouth. He drove back from an event down in Maryland, and he called me. We were looking for a long stick at that point to round out our class. And he said, I think I found a guy, he doesn't look the part, he's skinny. He's not really athletic, but his ball skills are undeniable. He picks passes. His instincts are great. I think we should give him a look. And I saw film on him, and he was right. I mean, he did not look like an imposing athlete, but the instincts were there. And we looked at that point. I'm not ashamed to say, we're like, you know what? Let's take a chance on this kid. Let's just see what happens, and maybe he can develop. He's got these ball skills. We'll try and make him a better athlete. And we did. We took a chance on him, and thankfully we did. Because it would have been very easy not to, but look what he turned into. It's unbelievable. And to me, it's not just about the skill that he had, it's just that mindset. You talked about Bill Lambert, and someone that's that age, knowing who Bill Lambert is pretty special. And he definitely plays that way. He really gets under your skin. He's in your face. He's all those things. And I was really interested to see how that was going to play out in the PLL, because there's a lot of guys like that. And when you're kind of a rookie in that situation, Craig doesn't really thrive in situations where he needs to change and he needs to, kind of, put the mute button on. He doesn't really do that very well. And it seems like he's been able to just be himself. His play would certainly, would be emblematic of that. He's doing a great job, and I'm really happy for him. And it seems like he's found the nice niche with the Atlas, and he's playing alongside, someone that I know really well and had a chance to coach, is Kyle Hartzell. Those two guys are running, kind of long stick 1, long stick 2 for those guys. And that's a great mentor for him to have, because Kyle is equally as disruptive and imposing for sure.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Well, you had a pretty great pro career in the MLL. You played in the NLL as well. I kind of wanted to ask you, how much different do you think the dynamic, especially having 2 outdoor lacrosse leagues nowadays, how different of the dynamic is it, when you were a pro compared to now? And what were some of your favorite memories of being a professional lacrosse player?
Yeah, so it was a different time. My first year was 2003, and I got drafted to the Rochester Rattlers. And I told somebody before, my starting salary was $4,500 for the summer, and then they gave you a $2,000 travel stipend. And for me, I was living in Durham, North Carolina, because I was coaching at Duke at the time, playing in Rochester, New York. So I went through that $2,000 for travel in like the first third of the season. And by the time the season was over, I dipped into the other $4,500, to the point where I made $0 playing professionally in my first year. So, you certainly don't do it for the money, but, to me, it was cool to be able to have the opportunity to keep playing, and to play at a high level. And, like I said, I wasn't doing it for the money anyway. And, obviously as the years wore on, I played for 7 years. The salaries got better. The travel stipends got better. The situations got better. And, now we're at the point where, guys are doing well. They're making pretty good money for a summer job. And, hopefully at some point, this thing can take off and it's not just a summer job anymore. But I think the level of professionalism, certainly has gone up over the years. And, the way that the guys are treated, the players are treated, coaching staffs, everywhere in between, I think has certainly been elevated. It was, I just don't think we were ready. Lacrosse was ready for that at that point. We were grateful to have a professional league. But I think as you look across all sports, there's, a starting point that isn't necessarily as glamorous as it is, in the present day. And I certainly played in that era for MLL.
So you mentioned Kyle Hartzell, and I'm going to bring up another name that I know you are happy to see gone from your schedule. And it takes me back to when Luke met you. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. You're at Loyola. Pat Spencer, what's your take on him and what he did? And, we saw him in December. I had one of his basketball games, man, and I was blown away at how good he was. So I guess my question is, go back to your playing days. Is there a player that reminds you, whether you played with or against Kevin, that played the game like Spencer did in the 4 years he spent at Loyola?
Yeah. So first of all, truly grateful that we did not have to play against him this year. That was awesome.
Yep.
Do miss seeing him. Yeah, I know. I do miss seeing him on a lacrosse field. I think as I watch the PLL and, I see kind of where he'd fit in. It's kind of scary to think. I think he got drafted by the Archers, and to put him on that attack unit with that group, holy cow, that's scary. But I definitely do miss seeing him there. I know he's chasing his basketball dream, which is awesome, and all the power to him. He's just a generational talent. When I think about someone I can compare him to, it's tough because some of the top players at the attack position that I played with over the years or against over the years, they might have a certain skill set that stands out above the rest. I'll think of a guy like Ryan Boyle, who's just one of the best feeders to ever play the game, but maybe not as dynamic of an athlete as Pat Spencer. I think about Connor Gill, someone who is an unbelievable playmaker that way. The person who I actually think, you can compare him to the most, their style is different, but their level of effectiveness is probably at the same level as Casey Powell. Okay. That's probably the one that I would say. And, Casey and I go back a long time. We were teammates in Rochester for a few years and on Team USA in 2006. But somebody that could do it all. They could dodge, they could shoot, they could feed. They were incredibly creative, and they brought that dynamic to the game. So to me, that's probably the one that I would compare them to the most. And, they were equally as fun to watch to the common spectator. I more enjoyed watching Casey Powell play just because it wasn't against me.
Right.
As a coach, but he's really special. I hope at some point we see him back on the lacrosse field because our game would benefit from that greatly.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was amazing calling one of his basketball games, man. Just all I kept seeing was him where he was on the field, man, and all the years and all the games I did of his in college. You touched on Duke a couple times, and I read a story this morning, saw it on social media. There's 6 coaches, I believe, that are in the Mike Pressler umbrella, and you're obviously one of them. You played for Pressler. You coached with him. You mentioned you were there during all that stuff that happened with their program and finally got put to rest. What does Mike mean to you? What is the impact, the underlying impact that a guy like Mike Pressler's had on you and still has on you, Kevin?
Yeah, Coach P is he's like a second father to me. Okay. Someone I talk to all the time. There's not a week that goes by that I don't speak to him, whether it's through text or phone call. And it seems that he's always checking in at the right time. It might be a couple weeks and there he is popping up with a phone call just to say hey and check in. And that's the type of relationship that we have. And In coaching, yeah, we have, quite a few of my former co-captains and teammates, guys like Taylor Ray down at St. Joe's and Dan Shamati down at Richmond. And, there's others as well. But, we stay really close and really connected. And, that's because we have phenomenal relationship, and, it's one that we want to continue on. But, Coach Pressler, someone that, I certainly credit with, building the Duke program from dust when he took over. And, he took that over in the early 90s and, helped to set the table for all the success that was going to come. And, I was able to be a part of that and was a 2-time captain for him. My I guess most cherished lacrosse moment as a player is in 2010, playing for Team USA and being a co-captain with Ryan Powell on that team for, a team that was, led by Coach Pressler. And to be able to be a part of that, several years removed from, him, getting fired at Duke and, kind of made the scapegoat in that situation. And, obviously to have him go up to Bryant and then, bounce back for Team USA and to watch him put a gold medal around his neck was something that was very emotional for me. And I know for others that played for him, to kind of see him at the pinnacle of our sport, winning a championship, which was so well deserved for all the years that he put in and didn't get to do it at Duke. I was just grateful to be a part of that and help to bring that moment to him.
That's awesome stuff, Kevin.
Definitely.
Really good stuff, man. Love hearing that.
Yeah, and you touched a little bit on, winning a gold medal in 2010 with Team USA, and not a lot of people really in their lifetime get to say, that they've put on the stars and stripes and been able to play for their country. What's that experience like, and what were some of your favorite memories from 2010 and being able to be a co-captain on that team and have that experience of being able to wear Team USA colors?
Yeah. So, just being able to represent your country is truly special. And like I said, I think it's the highest honor that you have in our sport. The level of competition that you see at a Team USA tryout is unrivaled. Forget about the competition you see in the actual world championships. It's just the level at the tryout. You have to be at the best of your game, best of your ability, peak performance, peak conditioning, just to be average at that event. So to be able to do that and make it through that 3 times is truly an honor to be a part of that. My experiences for each of the 3 senior teams that I played on, 2002, 06, and then 2010, were all very different. So 2002 was that was when the MLL was just getting started. And what they did at that point is they said that if you played in the MLL, you could not also play for Team USA. So, I don't know the reason behind that. I think because they were trying to get it off the ground and they didn't want to lose some of their top players for, 2.5 weeks of the summer. So some of those players had to choose, and a couple of them chose to try out for Team USA, but the vast majority of them decided to stay and play in the MLL. So, I was a college kid at that point. I was a junior in college, playing for Team USA, and the majority of that team was we were all college kids. And there were a few guys, the Lowe brothers and guys like Timmy Shure and Todd Rassis that were out of college, but weren't playing professionally. And that was the makeup of our team. That feelings we had there, that was like straight nervousness, like we're sitting there, we're lining up against the Gate brothers and, the legends of our sport that, we were too young to even really know what they were capable of. That might've been a good thing for us because we were able to win the gold medal in Australia that year, but that was a really, just a different experience. And then, fast forward to 2006 and, that experience was a really negative one because we lost to Canada up in Canada. And we were there's only 2 teams that, at that point, we were the second team, USA team to lose to Canada and lose the gold medal. So kind of the shame in that, that was tough to swallow, so then to go back in 2010 and be a part of kind of the redemption team of bringing the gold medal back to the USA and, all kind of the underlying things that were involved in that. Again, with Coach Pressler, and for me, that was my last rodeo, and I knew that going in, and I wanted to make sure that I finished off my career personally on a high note. And to this day, that gold medal game in 2010 is the last lacrosse game I've ever played. I have not suited up in a club game or tournament here or Lake Placid or any of that stuff. I haven't done it, and that's been the way. The last game for me has been that gold medal game. So it's been 10 years since I strapped it up.
That's awesome, man. What a way to go. I never knew that. That's great stuff. What a way to go out, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point I'll be asked to put the pads back on and
alumni game.
Yeah, I can't ever play in the alumni game because it's always during our season at Lehigh. True, yeah. So I can't get back to Duke. Maybe we should put together a USA alumni game. That would be awesome.
That would be sweet.
That would be a pretty star-studded cast if we could make that happen. So
totally, man.
Maybe we'll do that. I don't know if I'd make it. I don't know if I'd make the team.
You'd be fine, man. I haven't seen you in 2 years, but I know you're in good shape. You'd make it. So another thing that I always thought was cool about your situation is your dad. And so again, one of those weekends where I was in, I think you were playing Cornell one of those weekends, and I didn't know your dad was on your staff, handling the operations for you. And I didn't know what a football coach he was. My God. I mean, incredibly decorated. How's your dad doing? And share a little bit for those that don't know about how that dynamic came together with you having your dad as a part of your staff now.
Yeah, so it's been awesome. It's been great to have him around, and family is number one in my book, and I know for you as well. So just to be able to have family close by, and my family, we grew up east end of Long Island. It's about 2.5 hour drive from here, and so it's not too far. And I have my wife's family close by as well, so we're kind of surrounded by family here in the Lehigh Valley, which has been great. For my dad, longtime high school football coach, 30 plus years coaching football, high school on Long Island, Compsawag High School. I played for him. I kind of moved up the food chain. At first I was a water boy for his team, and then I became the ball boy. And then eventually I was the quarterback. And, so when I was when I got the job at Lehigh, when I first got my head coaching job here, it just happened to coincide with his last year coaching football. So he retired, and that summer I got the job at Lehigh. So, I looked at him, I said, "Hey, what are you going to do now?" And he's like, "I don't know. I've been coaching forever. I have no idea what to do with my life." So I said, "Well, why don't you come join me?" And he became my volunteer assistant at first. And then as the positions evolved over the years, we kind of moved him into the operations role, operations assistant. And, for him, it's just great to have him around. Great for me personally to have my father around and, be able to lean on him in certain situations, someone that not only cares about the program, but obviously cares about me personally and is going to help me to figure some things out and, some tough decisions that you have to make along the way. It's great to be able to bounce it off of him, so much wisdom working with kids for so many years, and, high school, college, you're working with kids. So he kind of knows the environment. So that's been a lot of fun to have that. The other part of it too was, playing for him as a quarterback, and kind of doing everything I did for him within his Compsawag football family. I got yelled at a lot. So, my plan was to bring him on staff so I could get him back and start yelling at him a little bit.
That's right.
And I figured if we did that, then we were even, and I could try and get back at him a little bit. So, I'm still trying to pay him back for that.
I can relate. I worked for my dad as a carpenter for 3 years out of high school, man. So I get it, man, 100%. We know you're tight on time. We got a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you want to ask Kevin?
I don't think there's anything else I want to ask, but I do want to say good luck to you guys going into the fall. I hope things work out for you guys, whatever way it does. We hope to see you guys in the field during the spring, and we'll see where things go from there. But good luck to you guys. Hope that, you and your family and your program and their families stay safe. And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. This is awesome. It's fun to see both of you, and it's good to see you guys again. And this is great that you guys are doing this. And in a world that's deprived of sports and sports commentary, you guys are you're delivering it. So thank you so much for doing that.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And I mean, we've done about 60 of these, and a lot of people I've known, yourself included. It's been great to reconnect. And a lot of people have told me it's been therapeutic in a way too. So, I think we're probably going to see, at least I think for the next year or so, I think a lot of things that we do, we being like when I'm doing a game of yours, it may be done this way. And so, it's just the way we've had to live. And, it's always a pleasure, man. I always enjoy talking with you and I always enjoy watching your teams play. We really appreciate this. So thanks for your time. We know you're busy and got some things going on. And so appreciate the time, Kevin.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
All right, you bet. There is Kevin Cassese, head coach at Lehigh, in his 13th season, joining us on this episode of No Holding Back. For my man, Luke, I'm Ben. Thanks for watching.